Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again here. I appreciate you so much. I'm honored to be here again. I am humbled that you all invited me here again as well. I was here back in September, like mentioned before, and I've been looking forward to come back here again. And I'm just as thrilled to be here in December as I was in September, especially during this time that it's about reflection of the year past and the thought about the year coming. I think that we spend so much time getting festive over a lot of things instead of representing and appreciating the festival of right here, right now. And in this time, in this year, this time of year, we have darker days physically, literally. It's not too dissimilar from how we all live our days as well. When you close your eyes to go to sleep at night, you're experiencing darkness threefold. And conversely, when you wake up in the day and you open your eyes, you're experiencing light threefold. Now, just symbolically, that means that you every day are experiencing light and darkness combined. And that goes on again to the next day. And that goes on to the next day again. Until a week goes by. And that keeps going until a month goes by. And then a year goes by. And over time, we find that the earth itself experiences that same dark and light. Sometime in the year it's lighter for longer, sometime it's darker for longer. And we appreciate that since we are of nature, we do the same thing as the planet. And so have our ancestors as well. And they recognize the cycle also. The cycle of your day to week to season to month to year, so on and so forth. They appreciate it also, and they found themselves meeting every transition from one thing to the next in ritual. For us in this culture, for the most part, when you think about holiday and ritual during this time, you think of Christmas, Hanukkah, the two main ones in this region. They both represent and celebrate with light. The remote's not working. Oh, there you go. Oh, great. Next slide, or point? Okay. This is a list, and not a full list, of the other cultures that have light during November and December, the darkest days of the year. Either by way of fire, or candle, or electricity. It goes on and on and on. But we recognize the first two up top for the most part because it's around us. I'm not going to go into all of these because it's quite a lot. And there's more even, actually. This is all I could fit on the PowerPoint. I couldn't put any more in there. But if I may, I'll go over a couple of them if I can. Have the next slide, please. Oh, yeah? Oh, great. Great. Wonderful. Thank you. First one we know, Christmas. Symbolically, it's the story of Jesus born. This man who came into the new caste system, and broke through and recognized that everybody's more equal. And the tradition that we have here of gathering the tree is a ritual of paganism. That is taking the tree, a tall tree, historically, cutting it off from where it is, putting it into the ground, and lighting candles. Now, of course, in our society, we shouldn't be lighting 50 candles in our house next to a tree, so we light it and with electricity. But why do we choose the tree? Why does the tree show up so often, so symbolically? And what does it take for a tree to grow so tall? Well, if you look at it literally in order to understand the symbolism, the deeper the roots of the tree, the higher the canopy. The deeper the roots of the tree into the dark underground, the higher up it becomes to reach the stars, the sun, the moon. Your symbolism lays right there within it. And that's who we are. When we sit and meditate a few minutes ago, our job is to put our feet in the ground and root ourselves. And then we close our eyes for tranquility, for some sort of illumination that shows up. We put the dark with the light again. Jesus himself said, I am the light of the world. Who follows me will never be in darkness. Who does follow me will have the light of life. He's talking about the illumination of the here, now, and the connection that we all have. Oh, there we go. When we move on to the Jewish tradition, we have the menorah, of course. They use light as well. The story is of Antiochus, who was a ruler of the town, and he wanted to do away with Judah and his Maccabees, his followers. He essentially said, I wanted to extinguish these people the same way you extinguish light in somebody. Judah and his very small group of soldiers managed to battle Antiochus and have him run out of the town, but not before Antiochus smashed and obliterated their temple. Soldiers, the Maccabees, go back into the temple. They find a menorah. They want to light the menorah, but they only have a can with enough oil to burn for one day and night. They light it nonetheless, and they go to work on rebuilding their temple, and that can of oil lasts for 8 days. The symbolism of the people who, no matter how dark it was, stayed illuminated and to fight is shown in the menorah here. I've been to celebrations of Hanukkah before, and very often, not unlike this photo here, they take the center candle and light the other candles. There's your beautiful symbolism there, because every single one of us are illuminated. And it's our job to make sure we illuminate the next person. We light this chalice here. We light these candles down here. If we take one candle and light the other, that initial one does not blow out. Doesn't lose any of its flame. It's the same with you. You can light the next person you see up, and you don't lose any version of yourself. Oh, first time on this one. 1966, the African American community, my community, decided to take their past, Africa, and their current living in America, and tie together the two cultures. They called it Kwanzaa. And they light candles as well. 7 of them, exact, that are symbolically laid out for the struggles and the history of our ancestors. The reds on the one side represent the blood shed of our black people, the one in the middle. And the green is for the earth, the abundance of life, the future that holds with us, that same earth that gives us life every single day, that gives us trees, for example, that gives us fruit and oxygen and shade. Yeah, 2, please, if you could. Right there's perfect. Moving over to the Scandinavian culture. We have St. Lucia. This saint here on the side, pictured on the right, was a saint who inherited money from her father who deceased. Instead of giving it away when she deceased, she gave it away in the here and now to the sick, to the poor. This did not appease the rulers at the time, nor her suitor. So they came to kill her so they could take the money. And upon walking into her house while she sat there, they went to pull her to take her to the dungeon, and she could not move. They couldn't move her. No matter how many soldiers tried to move this woman, she couldn't go. She was rooted into that moment, into that space. They killed her nonetheless as she sat right there. They also removed her eyes. Ouch. While they also took her to the tomb, finally, to wrap her up for burial, they realized her eyes were still in her head. So that part is a story that stayed with the culture. You can see it even depicted here. Because she has the eyes here, but the eyes are on or she's holding in her hand. Those are the real eyes. This is the secondary eye that you live with. You close your eyes at night and you have a dream. You're still seeing, but your eyes are closed. Because the eternal illumination is who you really are. It appealed to the culture so much that even Dante, Dante's Inferno, wrote about this story. Could you go to the next slide, please? Dante goes into the circles of hell, another dark place, of course. He's led there by Virgil, who has a dream that he should go and help Dante. Who tells him of the dream? His deceased wife. Virgil goes into his sleep at night, gets an illumination from his wife who's passed on, tells him, you need to go help Dante go into those dark realms. And who tells his wife that? St. Lucia. And it's depicted again here, this blind woman leading the way into the darkness. This is your illumination we're seeing again. Next slide, please. And we can move even further over. We can go to Iranian culture. They have what's called Yalda. And in this culture, there's a realization of the fire that ties the culture together, going through the dark times of the culture. Next slide, please. So much that they realize how hard it will be. But nothing stops the illumination, the light of community. These sparkles here and the fire from before, they'll go out. But the joy and the connectivity between the cultures, between person to person, will last forever and keep moving on and on and on. Next slide, please. Going to India. In the Hindu tradition, we have Diwali. The story says of Diwali that a ruler named Lord Rama was out away from his town, and a demon came to battle him. When he battled and beat and conquered that demon, the townsmen people were so excited about this that on his way home, they lit the walking path back home with candles, recognizing that it's the fire within that connects without. The same tradition in the Upanishads, the Svetasvatara Upanishad says, fire, though present in the stick, is not perceived until it is rubbed against another. Fire, though present in the stick, is not perceived until it's rubbed against the other. How do we not see these symbols? How do we not get hung up on the image itself instead of going past it and recognizing what's being said here? We have all these cultures talking to us about fire that lives within us and how we bond and go through times. Cultures that are not even touching each other, that don't even communicate with each other. As you saw in the first or the second slide, as far back as the 57th century BCE. Next slide, please. And depending on what time of year it is, depending on the moon, December 8th or 9th, today or tomorrow, we have what's called Bodhi Day for Buddhists. As a Buddhist, we recognize this day as the day the Buddha sat under the tree of illumination, of knowledge. And he woke up. The word Buddha means to wake up, one who woke up. And to wake up is one who is enlightened. The clues are right there, just waiting for us. The Buddha gathers that information. He realizes that we are all manifestations of Buddha consciousness, goes back into the world and shares that, much like Jesus, going out, gathering information, coming back, sharing it. Next slide, please. So what am I saying here about this light? I'm letting you know it's in you for sure. And we all realize this. We've gotten into a society where we have looked for everything as materialistic as possible. What we can touch, what we can sense, what we can smell, what's fake news, what's not fake news, what's real, what's false, what's good, what's bad. But we forgot about the awareness that sits within us every single day. That cycle from the beginning, when you wake up and go to sleep, that turns into months, that turns into years, that makes you go from age 5 to 15 to 25 to 35 and so on and so forth. That means you change. Your skin, your hair, your beliefs, your thoughts. Everything you thought you knew, everything you'll never know, and everything you will know eventually will change over time. Your favorite taste in coffee, how you like your music, how you like your breakfast, your drive here, your drive home, they're always going to change consistently. The only thing that will stay the same is your consciousness that experienced it all. That's the light. I guarantee every single one of you couldn't describe to me physically what your consciousness is, but you know it's there. If I told you think about the image of smoke on the water, you're thinking about it now, and then you recognize that you're thinking about it. Your feelings come and go. I'm speaking to you right here, but if I raise my voice, then you realize that. And then you recognize that you've realized it. It's that awareness that connects every single one of us to each other. And the best way we can do that is by getting rooted in our own selves, appreciating who we are, and then sharing it with the next person. Every single one of those cultures and the ones I didn't mention have a realization of that, and they still maintain in our society today because they work on us, because we realize it intuitively. My friends, if there's anything in this world that I would share with the rest of the world, if there's one last thing I could say to anybody in this society, it's to realize the light that is within. And then you'll find the light that's without. You're not your thoughts. You're not your beliefs. You're not your practice in the world. All of those things are vehicles to get you to the destination, to make you realize you are an illuminated person. You are consciousness having a physical body experience. I implore you, I challenge you, I beg of you to release the things that you hold on to that you know will change. And instead, resonate with the calmness and the peace of that consciousness. It is non-dual. It's not even one, because that's an implication that it's going to end. It's non-two. So when I see you, I see a version of myself. We live in this society here where all of these little intricate details we think are separate from each other, but it's not. I guarantee you it is cosmic origami. We stand on one side of the wing of the dove and the other side as well, and as soon as that paper finally gets flushed out to be flattened, you recognize it's the same paper. We are no different. So if I may wrap this up by saying one final thing, it is to find your light first. Think less about what somebody has or hasn't done. Think about what you can. Find that personal peace that's within here, and over time you will illuminate outward. Once you've done that, next slide please. Please, light my fire. Thank you so much, everybody.